All right, welcome folks to Gordium, where we generate, evaluate, and execute on ideas. This is a problem that used to be near and dear to my heart. Now I don't. Well, shoot, I do care about it. There's a heat wave in Los Angeles. It's 99 the other day, so this is still a
Terrible.
problem in Los Angeles. I was hoping to trash on Michigan. Michigan gets so freaking cold. I'm so thankful to not be cold. I think I prefer being, I don't know. I don't like being hot or cold. But I mean, this is part of the problem is that our bodies adapted to variable temperatures and we live in these little temperature controlled bubbles. I guess one question I have are like, what are the public health implications of this? You know,
Yeah.
how does this affect our body? Yeah.
Yeah.
What is constant temperature? Well, shoot, you know what? Why we sleep talks about this, right?
Yeah. True.
Do you know who that was written by?
Um, Matthew something.
Why we sleep talks about how the circadian rhythm is connected to temperature.
Mm-hmm. And we sleep best when it's about 65.
Jeez. Really?
Yeah, that's what he says in there.
Oh, fascinating. That's so. Who even sleeps at 65 degrees? Nobody I know.
Me. Well, like in winter, I think our house drops.
Yeah, in winter, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to sleep in the attic of an unheated house. And it would be, I remember I slept in a sleeping bag in Oregon and I would wake up frozen. I wouldn't want to get up because it'd be so freaking cold. It would be like 40 or 30. Not 30, probably 40. Because the house was heated by a wood burning stove.
Mm-hmm.
And I was as far away as you could get from the wood burning stove.
Good.
It's frigid. Oh, okay. Let's see. Keep our homes colder so the outside becomes more attractive. That's so interesting. So keeping it colder centralizes people
Well, so I guess
theoretically.
um, you know, if you minimize the temperature difference, right? So I think that solution is to
Oh,
keep homes colder in the winter and then warmer in the summer. So when it's cold outside, if it's cold inside too, you're not going to go inside.
so
And,
one lever is the difference between inside and outside temperature.
yeah, and that sort of connects to the public health implications.
Oh,
There's not really evidence that we are more susceptible to disease when cold. Really, cold seems to, uh, inc- you know, stimulate our immune system. So then we tend to get more sick in the winter because that's when we're in closer proximity to people.
yeah. So there's evidence that our immune response is stronger in colder temps. The real cause of winter sickness is closer proximity with more people.
Mm-hmm.
So the public health implication of this would be, since we keep it constant. Well, that's kind of interesting. So we basically, if you keep it at 70 in the winter, you
Mm-hmm.
have removed the advantage of the immune response, and you've gathered yourself more.
Yeah.
I mean, those are slight effects, but
Yep. Yep.
So there's a difference between inside and outside temperature. I think there's a difference between there's a distribution
Mm-hmm.
of temperature. So right with the wood burning stove
I love.
versus central heating,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or versus HVAC, I guess. Like with an HVAC system, I can be in my room and be as warm as I am in the living
Mm-hmm.
room, but with a wood burning stove, I have to. Well, I mean, you could have a wood burning stove hooked up to an HVAC, but
Yeah.
generally your heat is just coming from the wood burning stove.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I guess an example is just climate control and everything from our house to our car. I mean, cars do this too. You know, we're basically in a temperature controlled bubble almost all the time.
Yeah.
I guess what about summer? We should specify that this is in the winter. Um, keep our homes warmer in the winter
In the summer.
and the summer. So outside is equally attractive.
Yeah. What what really bugs me is when, you know, in the winter people keep their houses at, 75, and then in the summer they keep them at 65. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
this is just totally insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is that what flows to this problem, there's some financial problems too, and some energy use problems that you start to get into is like, how do we keep this temperature constant? We basically just use electricity.
Yeah.
I think especially in terms of cooling, there's some really interesting stuff you can do with I'm trying to remember. I think it was one of my neighbors growing up talked about there's these specially designed fans, or not fans, but it's a fan with no power, and it basically uses the different pressure. It creates pressure zones that then pulls air in your house
Hmm.
and creates like a breeze.
Yeah. No, I
Which would
know,
use no electricity. Yeah.
like in Indonesia, um, a lot of the um like there was a hospital near us, and then they built a community hospital, and they very intentionally didn't put AC in it because a lot of the, native born Indonesians didn't like AC. So they just designed it. They thought it was too cold. So they designed it with good
Um,
ventilation systems where air would naturally flow through the building, you know. And so yes, we our built environment makes it so that we have to, have our HVAC systems because it's, so cold in the winter and so hot in the summer. But, you know, you think
that's an
about
excellent
these
point.
these southwestern homes where, you can open them up, and the even though the breeze, it's, 100 degrees outside, the breeze cools you down a lot, once you're out of the sun. And yeah.
That's a really interesting point. Yeah, there's like I've never thought about airflow. Like, yeah, I've never even thought about airflow in a home.
Well, and they're sort of, you you sort of optimize, it's like, okay, a home with good airflow potential is bad at, an HVAC system, right? Because it's like lots of windows, which are bad
Um,
insulation, and high ceilings, which that's more space you need to heat or cool. So yeah, it's like, okay, you'd love to have a home that, especially in the summer, it's like, okay, it's you don't need to use AC except, for those 5 days of the summer where it's just really bad.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. If you need to, you can augment that with like locally distributed solutions. So just have a fan,
Yeah.
right? Like you can
Yeah.
you can do stuff for that, you know.
Hmm.
I think apartments are a really big challenge here
Oh yeah.
because you often you don't have a whole unit. You can't have airflow through. Like
Yep.
so ours has a balcony, and if we could leave our front door open, there would be lots of airflow. It'd be
Hmm.
great, but we can't do that.
Yeah.
So
And I
probably
think
because our yeah.
that's where um um your design comes in. There's have you ever watched Abstract the Art of Design on Netflix?
No, no.
That's a pretty interesting show. Definitely worth a watch. But there's one of this Scandinavian architect, and he has designed all these really fascinating um buildings, and one of them is this apartment complex where it's like the same square footage, but he just designs them in much more creative ways. So like a one bedroom apartment might be like two floors because that, you know, yeah. So they just had
Mm-hmm.
a lot more, um, personality. Um, but yeah, like what would it look like to say, okay, we want this apartment to have, the ability to have cross flow. So we need, windows on two sides of every apartment. Is there a geometric, solution that allows for that?
Oh, windows on two side. Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
that allows for you know cross flow of air.
That's fascinating. What was that show called again?
Abstract the Art of Design. No, that one's a good show to watch.
That's fascinating. That's a really interesting point. Yeah, it's actually kind of a simple solution there. Um, building materials and colors that improve, you know.
Ooh,
Well,
we have
so
an
our
idea
temperature.
that's that. Um,
Oh, we do.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, where?
Um, Something about roofs.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
you're right. You're right. You're
that
right.
one.
Nice, Neil. Geez, this is really nice. Geez, this is really up our. I mean, really, it's up your alley, I think. But I'm also interested in this. There's just a lot. I mean, this is a pretty dense connected
Yeah,
thing. Um, I think a bright spot is just like home design in the Southwest US in general,
mm-hmm.
like New Mexico
Yeah,
in particular, like just seems like, yeah, that people are smart about how they've
yeah.
designed.
It's, I mean, yeah, and New Mexico. New Mexico's interesting because when we lived there, we didn't have AC, and that sounds crazy, but
Whoa.
you know,
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Hmm. I didn't even
Um,
think about this crossflow stuff. I mean, that's just fascinating. I think the a wood stove
yeah, it,
or honestly the just electric heaters are but electric
mhm,
heaters both those come with fire risks, but
yeah, yeah. Do we have
mhm,
one?
yeah.
Oh, I think we might have another idea about like mass flow of air, or basements are
Yeah,
cold
we
in
do.
winter. Um,
It was a
uh,
transfer. I think it might have been fridge.
yeah,
You know what, we can it's probably gonna be best to search through here. Bridges waste lots of energy.
You know, it's you know, sort of similar. um, just thermal energy is there's a ton of energy in thermal energy.
Yeah.
There was another connection I thought of, but not thinking of it right now. Oh, you know, grass is
Oh
terrible
my
for the
God, you're right.
it's sort of similar where it's these, you know, these things that we think are normal and really they're just really bad.
Yeah, like something we consider normal, but is in reality terrible for a variety of reasons, for a variety of economic and social reasons.
Well, and I think, you know, similar to that one, there are places where grass is, you know, good and worth, you know, worth it, right? I like soccer, and you know, soccer played on grass is best, and I think
Yeah,
that's okay. And likewise, you know, I'm not gonna ever, as hard as I try, make it through a Michigan winter without using the heat.
yeah, none at all. Yeah, none at all would be insane.
But
Um,
you know, being more conscientious of it, yeah.
I just realized that Qatar air conditioning a stadium is an example of this too.
Well, yeah.
Have you seen that? There's all kinds of problems with that.
Well, and they're, you know, air conditioning a stadium, right? I'm sure the new SoFi Stadium in LA is, you know, has AC, but that's a dome where FIFA for soccer, those need to be open, right?
Why is that?
That's just part of FIFA's rules. So they
Why?
can't be
That's interesting.
played in domes. So all
That's
these
strange.
stadiums in Qatar for the World Cup, you know, they're pumping AC and it's just all escaping out the top.
That's crazy. It looks like SoFi Stadium does not have AC.
That's surprising.
Crown Jewel, you see there's more is a functional structure designed to have smaller carbon footprint. Temperature control. Let's see. So typically, so this is interesting. You had to shed heat of so many fans. You had heat pumps and central air conditioning. What do they do? Let's see. It's an impressively designed structure. Project requires 6. This is annoying. Hear from the principal designer in the video above and the tweet below. The monumental roof, what does that do? Roof is made of multiple operable panels. They can open or close to allow free airflow and hot air. That is fascinating. So you just temperature control via the roof. Wind moving across the open roof creates a vacuum of sorts under the stadium. Heated stadium air rushes up to fill. No way. Dude, that's crazy. Oh my God. That's wild. Well, on that bombshell,
Well,
it's time
do we
for us
need
to
to,
oh. Oh no, you're right. We do have to rate it. That's from Top Gear. That's from one of my favorite shows. I just always look for a way to use that.
I mean,
All right,
you can still use it, but
I know, but now everyone expects it. It can't be a bombshell. Okay, I'm ready. I think I have my votes. Yeah.
yeah, I've got it. My
All right.
motivation is a 1.
Same. Speed to failure.
0.
Building a house doesn't get much slower than that. All right, impact.
1.
I think it's a 2 because I was just thinking about this. Think about how I think this is actually an issue of national security. Think about Texas, like their power grid went out in the winter and they were screwed. Like I think if we relied less on power and electricity in general, can you imagine? Like if every house used 50% less energy, that would change the world, you know?
Yeah.
Like that would be insane. I feel like this is a studio,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Surely. Yeah. Oh, onto studio, I guess. All right. And on that bombshell, it's time to end.